Now, a decision by the US department store chain Macy's to sell hijabs as part of a new clothing line has caused controversy online. Some Twitter users have taken to using the hashtag boycott Macy's, accusing the retailer of promoting what they say is a symbol of oppression for women. The user here tweets, "You are the first major US department store to sell the hijab, the ultimate symbol of oppression of women. What's next?" The user tweets, "Don't accept the slow normalization of the hijab in America ever. It's not our culture, and it will never be." But there's been some approval too. People like Sarah say they support Macy's move to be inclusive. She says she loves her Macy's Verona collection hijab, adding, "I used to purchase them before Macy's labelled this scarf as hijab." Well, joining me now to discuss this further is Zainab Chowdhury from the Council on American Islamic Relations. She's in Washington, D.C. Hi there, Zainab. Thanks very much for your company. Zainab, why is this a controversy?
You know, it's a manufactured controversy. I think for the vast majority of particularly Muslim women, but just, ordinary Americans, this is just a move by Macy's to be more inclusive and to be more diverse, embracing of diversity. But more importantly, more than that, it's a business decision, a sound business decision made by Macy's to tap into a growing market that is very lucrative financially, and by all accounts and purposes, Muslim fashion is a multi-billion-dollar industry that has generated, an amazing amount of revenues, and Macy's has decided that they want a piece of the pie.
Zainab, so when you see a tweet like the one that we featured there, saying, this is a symbol of oppression, how does that make you feel?
I think oppression is dependent on perspective. I think for many of the Muslim women who choose to wear the hijab or the headscarf, for them to be forced to, not wear it or to take it off, that would be a form of oppression. I think it's not society's place or government's place to decide whether or not women should wear the headscarf. And I think that especially now, as more and more women are rejecting the notion that we should be forced to bare skin or show in order for us to be deemed attractive or for us to be deemed, acceptable by societal standards, it's a great step in the right direction. I think every woman should have the autonomy to choose whether or not she wants to wear the headscarf, and we applaud this decision by Macy's. It's a step in the right direction. It shows the first major mainstream department store that's made this move, and we're hopeful that more will follow suit.
So Zainab, I'm guessing you weren't surprised at all when it literally, flew off the shelves.
So it's interesting. We just learned that just a few days after the Verona collection was made available online through Macy's, their inventory has been depleted significantly, and many of the items that were on sale, much of the apparel has been sold out. And I think that that's just an indicator that there is a market out there for modest attire, and not all of the market is Muslim women or Muslim girls. Many people who are not Muslim who also enjoy wearing modest clothing. According to the 2015-2016 Global Islamic Education Economic Report, in 2015 alone, about $250 billion worth of clothing were sold to Muslim consumers, and that is expected to increase up to almost $400 billion by 2021. And I think that that also is a reflective of a growing market of consumers within the Muslim world, but beyond the Muslim world as well, and it's an indicator that modest fashion is here to stay.
Zainab, why do you think it is that some people find Macy's stocking an item of clothing that might be worn by, any number of women frightening? I mean, that's what strikes me about some of these tweets is the tone at its heart sometimes seems like one of fear.
I think it's a symptomatic of a broader problem that we have with the rampant Islamophobia here in the United States and Western world and beyond, where a lot of misconception and misunderstanding about Islam and about women in Islam and just the hijab in general. It's one of the most politicized articles of clothing in the world, and for many in the West, they see the hijab as a form of oppression until they meet many Muslim women and they hear our side of the story and they realize that, it's actually couldn't be further from the truth. Personally, I decided to wear the hijab when I was 19 years old. I became the first Muslim woman in my family to wear the hijab, and it was really a form of liberation for myself, for a way for me to express my identity. And I think many Muslim women who wear the hijab also feel the same way. And I think a lot of it is just, it comes down to dismantling a lot of the misconceptions and stereotypes that exist about Islam and Muslim women particularly, and just educating the broader public on what the hijab is and why it's not something that people should be afraid of.
Zainab Chowdhury there, joining me live from Washington, D.C. Zainab, thank you.